You know what? Why didn't we do this all the time? This should always be our setup. This is great.
This is really good.
It's pretty great.
The only problem with Santino and Andy is that we don't do this setup every time.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome back to The Only Problem. Welcome to the first in-person video podcast for The Only Problem. I really like how we're symmetrically crossing our legs right now.
Well, you know, great minds and everything.
But we've recorded in person for this show before, but that was audio only. That was our Raising Arizona episode, where then you got stuck in a snowstorm.
On the way home, yeah.
Yeah. So on the way home, we like hung out a little longer after recording, and then...
And that was a mistake. Because at one point, like an hour before the snowstorm hit, you were like, hey, I think there might be some weather. You might want to get going. And I should have been like, hey, thanks, that's a good idea. And instead I was like, I'm sure it'll be fine. And then I drove home like 2.5 hours in the snow at like 20 miles an hour. And 30 minutes into the drive, I got a hole in my muffler and the car just went, and just started yelling the whole drive home. And it was horrible.
Yeah, that is pretty bad. All I knew was my drive home, which is typically 15 minutes on the highway. I didn't take the highway, and it took me like 45 minutes to an hour. And it was really bad. And the whole time I was just thinking, Santino is on the highway right now. Like, oh no. But yeah, so this is a special occasion. This will also quite possibly be our first episode in high definition. I can't remember. There's like one random Zoom that's in high definition besides this. So I think it's our second episode.
Wait, there was a Zoom that was in HD?
For some reason, yeah.
I didn't think they even exported in HD.
There's one I downloaded once that was in HD. I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
But this might be our first episode in high definition, 4K even. Not even sure.
What's your bit rate on that?
I think it's 4K. I think it's
wow.
But I don't remember.
You're gonna have like a 90 gig file of this podcast.
It'll be fine. We received. You don't know what I'm about to hit you with.
I have no clue.
We received our second hate comment on last week's episode, and I wanted to read that for you today.
What even was last week's episode?
Pineapple Express. This is on the Pineapple Express episode. Someone says, well, he said it publicly. So this is from our friend of the show, CNY Knife Nut. He says this: I thought the whole two dudes who aren't nearly as smart as they think they are, that's in quotes, quote, two dudes who aren't nearly as smart as they think they are podcast premise died like 5 years ago.
It did, and we're bringing it back.
Well, I responded with, unfortunately, it is alive and well, my friend. Because that's the first thing I thought when I when I saw that comment, and I went, I'm gonna post it. Yeah. And I don't think he's responded.
I don't think he cares.
Yeah, I don't think he's real. I mean, he's a bot.
No, here's the thing, guys. This is not only the only problem. This is low effort, the podcast. This is why this is the first time we've had this set up.
Yeah. We've been doing the show, by the way, and I noticed this today because I was looking through some stuff. We've been doing this podcast for a year and a day. Yesterday was the anniversary of the first episode being released. So we've done 40, including this one, 47 episodes of The Only Problem. And I'm distracted by the camera. See, we should be doing this. We've done 47 episodes of The Only Problem, which is kind of crazy that we've really been doing this show for a year and a day.
Yeah, I thought...
As of recording this.
Yeah, for some reason, I thought that the original record date was like next week. I remember I had it placed later in August than it is.
It's August 13th is their first episode release. I think we did do stuff ahead right away. Because we're that smart. Which, by the way, the two dudes who aren't nearly as smart as I think they are, you have no idea how smart we think we are.
You should hear us.
You're just hearing us talk about movies. You should hear us before and after we record the show when we talk about like women and politics.
We fix all the world's problems.
Yeah, if you put us in charge of everything, dude, the world would be such a better place. Yeah.
I can't do that on the Zoom because the Zoom has the noise filter.
I'm actually going to run this podcast through Zoom.
Don't.
I'm going to somehow like present it
like Zoom
in Zoom and screen record that, and that's what I'm going to release.
Okay, I'll be looking forward to that one because I haven't actually bothered watching any of the video podcasts.
We've been doing video podcasts. I don't know.
Forgetting
this is kind of like partially okay. So this episode's about James Gunn's Superman, but it's also kind of a retrospective. Hey, we're here in person. We're in a room. We've recorded podcasts in before that we never recorded. I mean, released.
Is it released? Yeah.
We never released. So, yeah, we did audio only for a while, which was great because it made producing the show super easy. Because literally what I do for the first few episodes is I download the Zoom audio. I'd make sure me saying the only problem with Santino and Andy is this podcast was like right at the beginning, and I'd export it and I'd upload it to Spotify.
You know, we can always go back to doing
could.
just audio.
We could. I don't know.
Because it doesn't affect my life one way or another.
We might. Maybe in an effort to try to get monthly releases, weekly episodes back, we might switch to only audio because that would make production non-existent.
There you go. I'm for it. Here's the
Yeah.
thing. What is our massive viewership like on audio versus video?
They're about the same when we were doing audio only direct to Spotify.
Okay. I say
versus
go
now.
for it. I say go for it.
Maybe this is the last
video one.
for a while. But yeah, this week's episode is on James Gunn's Superman.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched that movie last night. You watched that movie last night. Oh, one other thing I want to talk about. Why we're together today.
Mm-hmm.
We're together because not just because it's the 1 year and 1 day anniversary of The Only Problem, but
It's like we planned it.
but it's also we filmed an additional interview for our secret Massachusetts ghost project that's coming out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we don't want to tell too much about that documentary that we're working on about ghosts in
Oh, so
Salem,
it's about June
Massachusetts.
bugs that do choreography.
Yeah,
Specifically.
Actually,
So,
that's what
yeah.
our doc's about. But we did an interview with my dad today, right over there. But we figured we'd record the pod in person while we're at it. We're out of the office today, mixing things up.
Yeah, we're out of the office. We're it's actually daytime. We don't usually record the podcast when the sun's still up. So
we have
this
sunlight.
is the earliest we've ever recorded the podcast. Actually,
Yeah.
it's 4:44 in the afternoon.
Even the Raising Arizona episode, which is the one that we were together, was like in the eve. It was in
was like
winter
6
and it was
o'clock.
dark. It was like for whatever reason, that's like when we could meet up was like 6 or 7 p.m. And
Yeah, because I didn't get home until like almost 10.
yeah.
So
We
we're
literally
after.
recorded that, and I think then like talked for a bit, and you went home.
Yeah.
It was a weird time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we played ping pong,
We did play ping pong.
talked, and then I went home slowly.
Slowly
So-
and surely.
Spoiler alert, everybody. This is going to be the James Gunn Spectacular. This is going to be the everything right and wonderful or everything terrible. We don't really know which it's going to be.
So what's funny to me about this is we're kind of doing this abridged James Gunn superhero movie retrospective when I'm giving you the challenge of watching a film. And
Yeah, it's retrospective for you. I'm just like, well, this is new.
I
This is something.
forgot a James Gunn superhero movie existed. And I only was reminded that it existed when I heard myself talking in an episode of Bizarre Sunday. Shout out Bizarre Sunday. R.I.P. Rest in purgatory that you're in right now. That I referenced that movie, and the movie's The Suicide Squad, which had I realized that any sooner and in my mental preparation realize that any sooner, you might have watched that movie instead of Superman. But I did text you that, which was like this like tee-hee, I forgot a movie existed, which is a little scary. But so I've seen it, and I actually kind of liked it when I saw it. But
Didn't you kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy
yeah,
when you saw it?
Yeah.
And now you hate it.
and now
It's
I'm
guts.
not its biggest fan. And what's interesting is when I saw the movie we're talking about this week, I didn't like it. And now, well, we'll just have to see. So this is Superman. So it's James Gunn's first installment in the DCEU is when Zack Snyder, whatever.
DCU.
Ew.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like the one thing I told you was this is the first thing in a thing, and that's all you need to know. So what do you think? And so Superman's about Superman, and what's interesting, so that
It's a reboot, right? Like
it's a reboot, yeah.
Because Zack Snyder, here's my knowledge. I guess I'll start with
hit
that.
me with that.
Here's my knowledge of Superman. I know he's a man. I know, like, from Smallville, I never watched Smallville, but I remember hearing that he has no belly button. I remember hearing that he was,
I don't even know that.
yeah, he was like, he's an alien. He came to this planet from Krypton. I know kryptonite hurts him, which always confused me how those two things are related. And I knew that, like, faster than a speeding bullet, can leap a building in a single bound, all the old stuff, right? I knew he had the laser vision. I remember seeing like, huh?
I don't know what it actually is called now.
I remember like seeing everything I know about Superman comes from Seinfeld and from trailers of Superman movies I've never watched.
That's a gas station T-shirt waiting to be made.
Yeah.
Everything I learned about Superman came from Seinfeld.
Yeah. Like I know about the Fortress of Solitude because of Seinfeld. And then like I remember seeing one of the Zack Snyder trailers where like a bullet in slow motion, of course, bounces off of his eye.
Have you not seen Man of Steel?
No.
Oh,
This
snap.
This is the first Superman movie I've ever seen. Like
Okay.
I've seen pieces of the cartoon from the 40s. And I'm aware of the Christopher
Interesting.
Reeve.
I haven't seen the Christopher Reeve.
I'm aware. I've not seen it, but I'm aware that it exists. And that's it. So I had very little to go on coming into this movie. So I was at first very confused when at the beginning of the movie Superman's like all beat up and bloody, and I thought bullets could bounce off his eye. How is he bleeding?
So the movie starts with this like title. These titles introducing us to the world, which says 3 centuries ago metahumans showed up. 3 decades ago.
3 years ago.
This happened, and then like 3 years ago. Well, yeah, 3 decades ago, Superman crash landed.
3
3
years
years ago,
ago,
he started to become Superman.
3 days ago, blah blah blah.
Baravia happened.
Yeah, and
3
then, like, 3
minutes ago,
Superman
lost his first fight.
Right. And then
Which is a great way to open a movie.
it is.
I mean, like the titles, whatever, but it's like, let me start my viewpoint rewatching this movie with reminding you that this movie starts with a very matter of fact, kind of like stoic. This is the day Superman lost, and that's when we start the movie. And he crashes, and he's all bloody and coughing, and it's like, oh snap, Superman isn't what we thought he was. And then the first thing that happens is Krypto shows up.
Stupid dog.
Which is fine that we have a superhero dog.
Sure.
But Krypto shows up and jumps on Superman and is like beating him up. And he's like, no. That's the first. We have a moment of what follows. Today is the day that Superman lost. Is levity.
Yeah.
Which that's James Gunn for you.
Yeah, I mean, and that's going to be the refrain in this whole interview. And it was the hey, this is an interview. Did you know this was an interview? That's going to be the refrain through this whole podcast. The same as it was with Guardians of the Galaxy, which is my biggest complaint. The only problem, as it were, with James Gunn is he never knows the time or place. I don't mind a joke, but he never, consistently, in all of his superhero movies anyway, because Slither is fine. Slither, I think, was the first thing he ever directed.
Yeah, I haven't seen Slither.
You might, since this is our James Gunn retrospective. But Slither, like, the jokes land, it works, no problem. The minute you get into the Marvel, I know this is DC, but the minute you're tainted by that, Marvel humor, and you get into comic book mode, James Gunn just doesn't know when to stop making jokes. And it's really annoying. That's my biggest problem with the movie. Spoiler, that's the problem.
Yeah.
But continue.
Then that's kind of it. So you can go back and you can listen to an episode of Bizarre Sunday, my other podcast, where I had just seen this movie, and that's kind of what's kind of funny is you can see me trying to figure out and articulate what isn't quite right in my opinion, and I'm still kind of trying to do that. But I think I've been able to kind of put my finger on it more, and it's kind of a bit of what we're talking about, and it's a bit more of stuff that'll be revealed as we go on. But it's really this interesting balance of just how I feel about the movie, because I walked away from watching it from the first time thinking it was a well-made movie, competently made movie, but that I just didn't like it, which was very interesting. So you really didn't know anything Superman?
No.
Period. That's
I was catching up on the Superman backstory through this movie, because, like I said, I was confounded by how he could even be hurt, or at least
it's
showing.
never also really brought back up again in the movie either.
Right.
Kind of, but not really.
I understood Krypton can hurt, or Kryptonite can hurt him. I had no clue that he could even be cut, because it's like I've seen a trailer moment where a bullet bounces off his eye. I'm like, well, if a bullet can bounce off your eye,
Yeah.
then you can't physically bleed, right? Like you're literally bulletproof. So how is it that you have scratches and you're bleeding?
This movie has a lot of like I said about Guardians 2 that it's like low concept sci-fi. This is somehow even lower because there's a lot that like if you start thinking about it, it just doesn't add up except is Superman. Like the whole blowing away from a black hole.
Yeah. Which is an absence of space and which is actively sucking things into it. You would think blowing into it would do basically nothing.
Yeah. But it's Superman.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I found myself kind of doing the whole movie is like, if he's Superman, then he shouldn't be able to be cut. If he's Superman, he shouldn't be able to like be hurt except for kryptonite. If he's Superman, he should be able to just like pick this thing up or fly this over there or like, because through the whole movie I kept going like, he's got laser eyes, right? Because like it seems like he doesn't use them until the third act. And all of a sudden it's like they remembered, oh yeah, Superman's got laser eyes. I'm like, I would just be like, you know how like when you're a kid and you can't fight, so you just kind of do this and like windmill your arms around and you figure, well, I'm going to hit somebody, right? If I were Superman, that's what I would do. I would just be like shooting lasers constantly and then just doing like this. And then that way it's like, well, I'm bound to hit something, right? Like you can't get near me as long as I'm shooting lasers out of my eyes.
Yeah.
So I'm like, why isn't he using that? If he can like blow this Arctic wind, like why is he losing so much?
Yeah.
He's Superman. Like I get it. You have to have stakes. You have to have like a character arc. And also I don't really know how you would effectively show any damage to a character if they literally can't be damaged. I guess they would just get dirtier and like, but like your costume can get cut, right? Like your cape can get shredded and it never does. He sustains somehow bleeding and damage, but his suit is fine.
Before we meet him, he gets brutally beat up to a point that he never gets beat up again in the whole film.
Right. And it's never explained why that particular beating was worse than any other. Even when he goes head to head with his, spoiler, clone self later, which is, I know, the same person who beat him up at the beginning, but like...
It's still not as bad.
Right. And that was like him shooting his laser eyes into your eyes. You got laser eyed into your eyes and you just kind of looked like you looked like Danny McBride in Pineapple Express when he was like crying. Yeah. His eyes, he looked like he'd been crying for a couple hours.
So I think this episode's going to be a bit more topical than what we typically do.
Yeah. Because less beat for beat.
I kind of just don't have an interest in going beat by beat through this movie.
No, it's a pretty simple story. So is Guardians. Like more to your point, James Gunn is a competent storyteller, and he tells very simple stories with just a very large canvas.
Yes.
Very large and colorful canvas, which can seem convoluted to the layman, but is basically just like the entire story of this was Superman is somehow getting beaten at his own game because Lex Luthor apparently studied hours of footage of Superman fighting, made a list of like E1, C2, double circle back, like almost video game instructions that he then through drones kind of stupidly feeds those instructions to a clone of Superman, which Spoilers. This is a reveal. We don't know that the guy that's been beaten up.
We don't
Superman
know that the guy that's obviously something like Superman is actually a clone
Superman.
of Superman, which is like whatever. There's nitpicks I have there that I could.
But it's like he's feeding him instructions on how to fight, which is kind of ridiculous. Yeah, which is hilarious. Yeah, 1A. That part really cracked me up because it's just punching.
Yeah.
But it's like 1A. Like you can't tell him just punch. Like you need to go with this code the whole time.
Well, and it's like the simple but convoluted. Like he's an idiot. That's the one thing he couldn't clone about Superman was like smarts or whatever. But he can understand this like really complicated code.
Yeah, like I wouldn't be able to. I'd be like, what the heck is 1A? Just say punch. Like I don't know what this is.
Yeah.
And then you're like doing combos. You're like W2, E3, 1A. I'm like, oh, hold on.
Wait, what? One at a time.
One at a time. And so yeah,
but like, there's just a whole bunch of things where this movie doesn't work. I know I said we're not gonna do beat for beat, but allow me. So, the one, the engineer is this character that's
Yeah,
got the nanites.
the Spanish girl.
Nanites is hilarious because that's what the one thing on MST is a nanite. But
I mean, Jimmy Neutron, I think, used nanites.
yeah, nanites just seems like a very outdated term. What?
I'm just making sure it's okay. He's just a little guy. Yeah, go ahead.
Anyways, but the engineer like snoops on Superman, like follows him to where he is, but then is like we're seeing walking through the snow. And this is the most like plot hole cinema sins thing that I'll ever be saying. But it's like, but then when the Fortress of Solitude starts to disappear, she does fly, and she says the line, what is it? The alien is on its way back. Because that's when Superman, like after he gets all charged up and flies away. And that's our line before the title Superman, which is just a weird thing to me. Because in the first like 5 minutes of Superman, we change vibes so much. Because it goes, this is the day Superman lost.
Yeah, it feels very Zack Snyder.
And then it's not. Then it's like, oh, we're with robots and a dog. Yay. The alien's on its way back title.
Which, by the way, so the dog drags him to his Fortress of Solitude, and then he's greeted by these robots. Alan Tudyk does the voice of the one robot.
Yeah, second smart aleck Alan Tudyk robot we've met along the way.
That's true. And what's funny is they like put him on like a medical table, and they need him to recharge in the yellow sun. And they like opened the thing, and I looked over because I was watching this with Dad last night. Dad's never seen Superman, so I was like, "You got to watch this." I looked over at him, and I'm like, "What are they gonna do? Like put a magnifying glass on him?" And then they do. I'm like, they're just baking him. Like, what do we do? Like, what the heck?
Well, there's like, this is the fine line of this movie between like Silver Age comic charm and
just stupid.
What are we doing? Because it's this weird thing we do where this movie like has a very loose grip on reality, and that's allowed. It's a superhero movie.
Sure.
But also it's shot like a commercial. And so those two things like are really weird and like disconnected in my mind as a nerd. Because it's like, how can we have this like very polished, plain looking thing, but then you're full sending like giant hammers, and it just doesn't ever translate.
Yeah. And I think also what's weird is, in keeping with the whole conversation about like how many different tones we have, tonal shifts, then you get like a hologram of Bradley Cooper as his dad and his mom played by whoever. And, you know, it's like, it's a glitch. It's a glitch. It's a broken thing over and over. And you're like, okay, how is it we've got all this space age technology and we still can't like fix a basic bug in the code, or like holograms always, I think Star Wars set the precedent with holograms, and now holograms can never just look, because holograms in real life just look like you or me sitting here.
Yeah.
Like they have for a while. But in movies, they always got to be like glitchy, so you know it's a hologram, right? Which that's just a fun little thing. But yeah, there's just a lot of weird tones. And then, like you said, yeah, she's like alien, and then we're like Superman. Like, okay.
And then we're in Cleveland, which is so fun. Metropolis,
I was
by
recognizing
Cleveland.
some stuff. Euclid Avenue.
Yeah.
And the arcade.
The arcade's in there. Like,
those are the only two I recognize.
There's a ton of like the square
or the field. Progressive Field.
Yeah, Progressive Field is in there. The square where it's like, get up, Superman.
The square.
The square where they fight the monster. These are like all places. I could do 3 hours of podcast about how me and my friends have been places in the movie. The beach is the beach me and my friends go to, and it's like 15 minutes from here. So it's like, it's Cleveland, and as a Clevelander, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's a fun part.
Well, and Angela was casting on this as well.
Yeah. We'll get to my thoughts on Cleveland being a part of it. We could get there now. Here's part of it that I think it's really cool. I think it's really fun. But that's not a creative decision anyone made to have nostalgic connection for Cleveland.
No.
So all
it's
the
a tax
emotion,
incentive.
I have a ton of positive feelings related to this movie because it's Cleveland. But that's happenstance. That's coincidence. That's not like the movie doing something right or wrong.
Right.
That like, so it's hard for me. I don't officially, in my score of this movie, which, oh my goodness, I haven't thought about rating this movie yet. But my score of how I view this movie, that's so far into like the subjective category that there's nothing I can like give the movie credit for doing that. Then besides, thanks for picking Cleveland. I mean, it's cool. And initially that was like one of the positive things was like, you know, this is never really something I've had before watching a movie, is being able to go for like the whole thing going,
Right.
oh, I know where that is. I know where that is. I know where that is, with nearly everything. Right. Like the exception being the Hall of Justice is like in Cincinnati. And you know, obviously there's a couple like the Daily Planet building isn't like a real building, even though the place where he walks in is like, that's a real part downtown. So like, that's cool.
Well, I think the Daily Planet, weren't the interiors Georgia?
I don't know.
Because they shot in Cleveland, Cincinnati, Georgia, and then like Norway for I'm assuming the Fortress of Solitude stuff.
Yeah.
So
that's an interesting decision. But it's like that's cool, but that's not what the artist is trying to do in the movie. Is that would be like, oh, like the scene where they let the little monster out and they're kind of down and you're looking up at the city. Like that's right by where my junior prom was. That's right by where Mark proposed to Holly. And that's where right by where they filmed White Noise.
I was just going to say, like Germantown,
like,
right?
It's like the area where...
Under the bridge?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Germantown's not a thing. But that's like...
Yeah, but I mean, in the movie, that's Germantown.
That's right. That's the same under the bridge area that is in White Noise. So it's like that clued me into White Noise being in Cleveland. So like, that's cool. That skyline, that's obviously augmented a bit, but like, that's where I had prom. That's cool. But like...
It's not something you can really judge a movie on as a movie.
Yeah.
It's just a fun fact.
It's like so...
That's like, you know, you could go, you know, my cousin's in that movie. And it's like, cool. But if the movie still sucks, it's like, well, then your cousin's in a bad movie.
So that is like the perfect equivalent of saying it. Because it's like, I can't really give the movie any credit for having my cousin in it. So...
But, you know, story-wise, it's very straightforward. It's just basically Superman's getting beat by effectively foul play by Lex Luthor. And then Lex Luthor does like the smear campaign. He breaks into the Fortress of Solitude, grabs the hard drive, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And then apparently does the one thing Superman never tried, which is to just repair the message.
Yeah.
And then he can hear the whole end of it, which is like, dominate humanity, take slaves, get with a lot of women, and perpetuate our race. And you're like, wow, that was
which is not a part of Superman lore.
I was wondering.
And this is where we get into another thing. I mean, if you want to continue.
Well, I'll finish the summary of like the simplicity of the story. So then from there, like Superman's disgraced. Everybody is over Superman at this point.
Yeah.
And there's like, then he gets put in a pocket dimension prison. And then he breaks out of there pretty easy. And then basically we just fight a little bit at the end. And that's
Smear
the whole
campaign
story.
Back because we learn the truth about Lex Luthor.
Right.
And...
which everyone should have been easily able to figure out. It's not really hiding.
It seems very obvious that there's always like people flying in and out of Luthor Corp.
Yeah.
There seem to like no government agencies keeping track of that.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, when you consider that like the entire catalyst for why Superman wanted to go and turn himself in the first place is because he couldn't find his dog. They took his dog. So he's like, well, maybe they got the dog there, so I'm just going to go over there. And like, that's the whole impetus for why you turned yourself in.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with anything other than I just got to find my dog. Like, you could almost boil this movie down to bad people say bad things about Superman. They take Superman dog. Superman look for dog. Superman get dog. Superman beat bad people. Like,
yeah.
It's
with also
dead simple.
The theme of like, you're not where you're from. You're who the choices you make. Mm-hmm. Which is true.
You're who the choices you make? I like that. You're not where you're from. You're who the choices you make. Yeah. T-shirt.
Yeah, that's the T-shirt. It's you're the series of choices you've made.
And obvious, crazy obvious, like smack you in the face obvious Russia-Ukraine parallels.
Yeah.
Like thinly veiled.
Yeah.
And also thinly veiled like immigration message because he's an alien.
Which
but
also,
he's okay.
But also so here's the launching off point that I was going to make in a second ago. I'm going to make it right now. This movie is very interesting and received a mixed reaction as far as I know, a fairly positive reaction from comics fans.
Mm-hmm.
And as a comics fan, if we could pan the camera over, you could see the row of comic books that are behind Santino. I was a DC guy when I was into comics. I'm not as much anymore. And from what I've heard, the DC Comics fans love this movie because it captures the DC vibe well. And I would agree. Like, maybe not as strongly. I would, if it was on the little choices you get in a survey, I would slightly agree before I would agree or strongly agree. But it captures the vibe of DC very well, which is this more cartoony world. Regardless, I mean, like even the more serious DC stuff is still this like cartoony world where there's interdimensional imps and monsters in the city every other day, and silly names for the superhero groups, and a Green Lantern who calls Superman Soups, and weird superheroes and weird superpowers, and everything is its own universe version of our world, right? They have their own coffee shops and they have their own whatever. That's like the DC vibe is there, which maybe I'm even like struggling to articulate that, but it's like, it's a less serious, less matter of like, it's just what it is. It's a comic.
Which is funny because Detective Comics being originally so grounded,
Yeah.
to morph into that is kind of funny to me.
And it's kind of stayed this like weird, more cosmic thing. Like the threats are always coming from some space or interdimensional threat in DC the whole time, right? Like we're now thoroughly entrenched in like multiverse stuff, but DC was doing that in the 80s, right? So this has been a thing. And I mean, even before that with other things. But here's what's interesting. When I first watched this movie, it was so DC at times that when it was different from lore, it took me off. Like for a second to go, wait, what is this again? Oh, it's a movie that's its own thing, which is weird because comic accuracy is not something people care about in comic media anymore, I would argue, at all, right? We lost that, I would say, early MCU, right? Because you have something like Avengers Age of Ultron, which is a movie I'd love to show you, but I don't know if we will. Which those words, Avengers Age of Ultron, is a comic event. Like it's a comic series that happened that, as far as I'm aware, the only thing the movie and the comic event, which happened maybe 5 years before the movie came out, have in common, the only thing they have in common is the title. And like not even an overall plot. Like they're two very different ideas. They share characters, right? The titular character of Ultron is in both. But we stopped caring about comic accuracy and just was like, okay, give us cool comic book stuff. You don't have to, meaning like the movie doesn't have to just be a continuation of the comics. There can be creative freedom, and sometimes that's very interesting. You don't care about comic accuracy. But if you're going to capture the vibe, but then you're going to fundamentally change lore, it's a weird balance that I don't quite know how I feel about, right? If you're making Superman's parents actually make him sent to Earth so that he can be the king of the planet and not just a last-ditch effort to save their race. It's a hard balance to be like, oh, it's just like the comic, but also
Completely different.
but also completely different from the comic. And all I'm saying is that makes watching it weird. James Gunn can make whatever creative decisions he wants. It's not a like, I can't believe he didn't do that this way. He didn't do it this way or that way. He's destroying the comics. I'm not saying that. But if it's part of, and it's kind of funny we talk about this, it's part of the like double talk tone shift of this movie is like, we're going to make something that feels very much like the comics that we know and love. But also, I'm going to change some very important things about the comics we know and love. So it's just odd. And like, again, that makes watching it weird because it's like we have to like. I come from this as like a comic fan, and you're changing things.
Right.
So it's like clearly you're honoring certain parts of the. You love these characters. Clearly, Gunn loves these characters he's working with. He's doing it from a good place. But it's like, and here's part of what I'm saying too. In the theater, watching, and even now, yesterday, at home, watching the like reveal of Superman's parents thing is. I don't know how to feel about it because as a comics fan, I'm like, that's not true. But as a person watching the movie, I'm like, wait, is it real? Which is an interesting place to be where it's like, do I know what's going on or do I not know what's going on? And you could make the argument, well, it's like, well, then you're feeling the confusion that Superman's feeling. No, it's not what the movie's doing. That's clearly played for, oh my goodness, this is world-shattering news because it's true. But still, as someone who feels like they know, it's like, well, wait, no, it's not right. So it's an odd.
I mean, really, you could almost say that movies like this are kind of made for people like me who have never read the comics, and so I can just kind of come into it and go, well, there's Superman. There it is. That's canon. It goes in my head. Yeah. Yeah,
and I think that's totally fair.
But I strongly suspected that was not the case because I remember thinking, I don't know that much about Superman. I'm pretty darn sure he wasn't sent here to conquer the planet. I don't think that's how that works. But I was like, well, whatever. I guess that's what we're doing with this movie.
Well, and it's like, even in like Man of Steel, which is a very dark, grounded, heavy movie, like the symbol means hope. Like this S on his chest isn't an S, it means hope on his home planet. That's who's sent as this emblem of hope. So like, I don't know. And this movie is such the antithesis of Man of Steel in so many ways. I mean, down to the fact that like in Man of Steel, they're like flying through buildings and like there's like so much literal weight and like gravity to the fights, even though they're weird and like super powered, bouncing all around. And like your first fight in this movie is just in the air, people like spinning around. And it's so interesting, like, it's like, oh. Instant, they're both CG playgrounds, but one's in like a small town being thrown through buildings and like oil tankers, and one's up at the sky and like with nothing around them. So, I think if there's one scene we should talk about in this movie, it's the like, whatever it is, it's like 7-minute dialogue scene between Lois and Superman? And
Clark? The interview. Yeah, that was fun.
Is a good scene.
Yeah, for the most part. It's a good scene. It still suffers from, and I shouldn't say suffers from, but it still is under the blanket statement of Gunn doesn't know when to not put in a joke. I think all the jokes that happen during that sequence basically land and it works. I'm not saying that it's necessarily out of place there. However, I don't know. I feel like it falls under the category of the same kind of like, how do I want to phrase this? You see so many couples in movies, and you see so many disagreements, and you see so many arguments, and they always kind of go the same way. And so there was, and I know that this wasn't really the purpose of the scene, but there was really nothing in that scene that I couldn't have forecasted, right? I'm like, oh, you're going to give her an exclusive interview? Let me guess, that's not going to go well. Let me guess, she's gonna push your buttons the way women do, and then this is going to turn into an argument, and one of you is going to get hurt and leave. Yeah, okay, gee, I wonder, it's interesting that we examine the idea of like, nations and like all these things that we do politically and like how this works and like how superheroes factor into that and what kind of a liability they become. But the thing is, none of that's new. We did that with The Incredibles and we did it better and we did it first in like 2004.
Yeah.
And so now we're having that Incredibles conversation here in 2025 as if it's, not saying that they were trying to position it like we've never done this before. But since we've done this before, can we maybe go a different direction with this conversation? Yeah. Because
It's
see
been
where
done
this is
before
going.
there. It's been done in, that was kind of the, oh my goodness, about like Winter Soldier, the Captain America movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like kind of leans that way.
Anytime you mix politics into anything, I kind of start to tune out. And when
Yeah.
you mix politics and superheroes, unless it's an animated film, I kind of really just, because it's all so absurd.
Yeah.
And I just kind of go, whatever, you know. But it's a good scene, and the emotions hit, they work. It is a little odd to me because, again, this is me not knowing anything about Superman. I thought Superman and Lois Lane were supposed to be like the same age, or that she was like a little younger or something. And Lois Lane seems a little older to me. And I guess it's because the actress is actually older than the guy playing. Like the guy playing Superman's a year older than me. Like that's it.
Interesting, yeah.
And then she's like 36 or 37 or something. I'm like, it's not like she looks like his mom, but she doesn't look the same age as him.
Yeah.
And in Gunn's, I read a couple interviews this morning. And I guess in Gunn's universe, like this Superman iteration is supposed to be like 25. I'm like, well, he's definitely not 25, but if that's the age he's supposed to be, then Lois Lane is clearly at least 33.
Yeah.
And this
That's
is kind of
funny-
an
well, yeah.
odd, I don't know.
I think Gunn, I'm not going to say that. Gunn's casting can be interesting.
Gunn's casting is hilarious. This whole movie, I was spotting people left and right.
Yeah.
And like, did you realize, you should have, you probably realized that his dad, Superman's dad, his Earth dad, is the killer from Identity. The eyes that go.
No, I didn't
Yeah, it's
realize
him.
that.
Yeah. He keeps his eyes squinted up through most of the movie so you can't see him like flicking around, but that's him.
Wow.
I can't think of the guy's name, but that's Malcolm Rivers
Well,
from
look,
Identity.
Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner,
Which is
Green
hilarious.
Lantern, is the best part of this movie.
I was going to say it's the worst part,
It's
but
the
you know.
best. It's the one thing. Well, hear me out. Hear
Uh-huh.
me out. It's the one character that is consistent and tonally does the same thing and fits this like weird DC thing
Sure.
that he's trying to do. It is the one character who does that and is still funny 3 times watching this movie, because I've seen this movie. This is my 3rd time, and
Wow.
3rd for and only for a while, because there isn't this weird balance of serious or funny. He's just an idiot.
Yeah.
He's an idiot who's full of himself and
And has the worst haircut ever.
has the worst haircut, comic accurate haircut.
Oh boy.
And that is who Guy Gardner is. That's who that Green Lantern is. Makes cool allusions to a bigger world out there where he's part of the Green Lantern Corps. Cool, works, sets up some fun things, and gets in and gets out. Everybody else, it's like, I don't know where you're at. I don't know if this is trying to be funny or if this is trying to be serious.
What about Mr. Terrific?
I don't like Mr. Terrific has taken 3 times for me to like.
I
'Cause
don't
it's-
think I'd even be able to like him after 3 times.
Because it's a weird balance. You don't quite know
He's
what's
floating
supposed to be
around
funny.
like on
I
a-
mean, Mr.
it's
Terrific
ridiculous.
as a character is cool. Mr. Terrific in this movie is not.
I don't know. I have a hard time with, when we always talk about the buy-in
Yeah.
on movies, and superhero movies, the buy-in is already so high. And it's like, all right, fine. Superman, Lex Luthor, Superdog, there we go. Monster, fine. Let's not bring in goofy other superheroes and a guy who's basically just a glorified hacker. Let's not
The
bring
guy
this
in
in.
a chair.
Yeah, especially this floating chair. It's like friggin' Stephen Hawking in the sky. And it's stupid. And then Hawk Girl. I'm like, this, it reminds me of The Justice Friends. Remember? Did you ever watch, this is a tangent. Did you ever watch Dexter as a kid? So in Dexter's
kid?
Dexter's Lab.
Oh, Dexter's Lab. Oh.
Dexter's Lab.
Oh. Yes, I did watch Dexter's
Okay.
Laboratory.
Do you remember The Justice Friends? No. You don't remember that? So Dexter would have 2 distinct separate segments from the show. There was like the main show, and there were these 2 kind of show within a shows. One was like this secret agent monkey and like a British woman, and they would go on like spy adventures, and she had like a relationship with this monkey. Like they would go out to dinner together and she would dress up for the monkey. Like she'd wear like a nice evening gown, which is super weird. And then the other thing they would do is, I believe it was called the Justice Friends, and it was Major Glory, who was basically your Captain America, the Infraggable Kronk, he was, I think, purple, and then Val Hallen, which was like a Van Halen Thor.
Yeah.
And his axe was his guitar. Yeah. And his hair was in his face and the whole thing. And they lived under one roof in an apartment sharing rent, which is a hilarious concept as an adult. As a
Yeah.
kid, you're like, what the heck is this?
Yeah.
And as an adult, I get all the jokes and I'm like, well, this is kind of funny. And it had a laugh track. It was super weird. But that's what Hawk Girl and the rest of this crap reminds me of. It reminds me of like a spoof of what superheroes are.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it fits. I'm already stretched as far as I can go in my imagination, accepting Superman, Superdog, Lex Luthor, friggin' Pocket Dimension, Giant Kaiju. Let's not push our luck.
Yeah.
And then you give me these 3 other stupid characters and I go, I don't care. Get them out of here. This is Superman's movie. Like, you don't go to see Batman and then all of a sudden there's all these other dumb, like in the Batman movies that have come out in this century, let's just say. There are no other weird sidekicks that come around and go, hey, I'm going to help you out there, Batman, blah, blah. Like, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Like, Batman beats criminals to death with his bare hands. That's what we do.
Well, and that's the goal now.
That's the goal now.
Well, that's the thing where like this, there's like the Guardians of the Galaxyification,
And that's stupid.
where we need an ensemble of a bunch of nutsy guys.
No, we don't need it.
And it's part of what I love Guy Gardner in this movie, but he doesn't need to be in it.
Yeah, none of them do.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Like I think my favorite part still, but I don't need him in this movie. So it's just odd because it's this whole, it never knows if it's taking itself serious or not, which we've talked about. And the characters, there's either like, there's lines and there's moments where I think it works and there's ones that don't. And it's not even scene to scene. It is moment to moment.
Moment to moment. It's like 50-50.
With every character. It's like, I think it's more than 50-50. I think it's like
60-40.
it's 40 to 60 works, doesn't work.
Okay.
I think this movie works less than it works.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing, and I wanted to bring up this moment because I think it's a really good example of exactly what we're talking about. Because I was trying to articulate this last night. Because I like comedy and I like humor.
We
And
like fun.
Yeah,
Notably,
we like fun.
We like fun.
We really do. And I was trying to bang. I was trying to figure out exactly what I was trying to figure out exactly why James Gunn superhero movies specifically fall so flat on the comedy for me 99% of the time. Like, I can count on one hand the number of times I chuckled in this movie or Guardians of the Galaxy. And I realized that it's because it doesn't know when to do it and when to not. And not only does it not know when, it also has to be like, stop the presses, all momentum dies, let's do this dumb bit, and then let's get back to the movie. It's like a cutaway gag, except you didn't cut away to anything.
Yeah.
And that ticks me off because think about a Coen Brothers movie. Think about any of the good comedies you've seen. You never lose momentum. You're in the scene, the scene's happening, funny stuff is happening, a funny line happens, and you just keep going. Every time I'm watching a James Gunn or a Marvel movie, it's like, here's the scene's going, stupid joke. Here's the scene's going, hey, wait a minute. Like, we have to go time out, now for some bullcrap. Now back to the movie. It's like time out, time in, and that's whiplash. And it's no more exemplified than in the scene when Superman is in his pocket dimension jail. And what's his face? The weird guy who can morph into stuff? Metamorpho. Who's played by Anthony Carrigan. I believe I'm saying that right. Who's NoHo Hank from Barry. And I was able to, I was like, that voice sounds familiar. And I looked down and I'm like, he still looks like the same guy, even under makeup. And it was him. I was like, dang, I'm spotting these guys left and right. Where are they coming from? Which, by the way, we do need to get you to see Barry somehow. I don't know how we deal with, I mean, we've dealt with TV shows on
the TV before, but it's like,
yeah,
we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
All I know is he's in jail, and he's all Krypton to pawn, and Lex Luthor comes in there, and he's got like a citizen. And now the movie gets as dark as it's ever been because now we're
so dark so fast.
Yeah, we're literally gonna play Russian roulette with a load, like it's loaded, and we're gonna do this thing with the citizen. It's like, okay, movie, fine. We've been silly up to this point. It's Superman, but let's get dark. I'm up for it. I'm game. And so you go, I want this information. Spin, click. And he's like, don't Superman, don't give him the information. Don't give him Superman. Superman's like, don't do it. Don't do it. And then spin. I want the information. Bam. And everybody's surprised, including the villain. And then they're like, whoa, well, thought that was going to go a little slower than that. Well, hey, I'll be back with somebody else you care about, and we'll do this again. And then they leave, and you're like, whoa, wait a minute. And then all of a sudden, Metamorpho's crying for some reason. He's really affected by this. And now we're dark again. And I'm like, wait a minute. You can't do this.
Yeah.
I don't know if James Gunn lost the script on this writing rule at some point, but that's like so bad it's good territory. That's like incompetent Neil Breen, Tommy Wiseau, The Room territory, where it's like, you can't pick a lane. I don't mind if a tone shifts quickly. White Noise, the tone shifts a lot, but it's never confusing as to what it is. And at the end of the day, you always know it's a comedy, first and foremost.
Yeah.
Superman and all these other James Gunn superhero movies don't know what they are at all.
Yeah.
And the way you should have played that scene, if you were going to be that dark, is you should give us at least 5 to 7 spins, maybe even 10 before you blow the guy's head off. Because think about it, it's the rule that comes back to, and this is my whole like film bro like rant, but it's the rule that we come back to when they interviewed Hitchcock. And I mean, not to sound like a film bro,
No,
because
I give you full permission to sound
Hitchcock,
like a film bro.
anybody can tell you this. Anyone who knows story can tell you this. Hitchcock had an old interview clip, and the soundbite was basically this. You can put a scene, first thing that comes on in a movie, and you see two men like playing, I forget what it is. Maybe they're playing chess. I forget the exact quote. It's like they're playing chess. And all of a sudden, a bomb goes off on a table and just blows the whole scene away. You will shock the audience. And then we'll move on. That had impact, but it was brief. He goes, now, I can show you one other shot of someone earlier placing that bomb under there and setting a timer for 5 minutes. And now I can drag this scene out for 20 minutes. Not necessarily that long, but I can drag the scene out almost as long as I want, and you are on the edge of your seat. Because you don't know when the bomb's going to go off, but you know you have the information that you need to feel suspense. Likewise, Lex Luthor. We see him put the bullet in. You know this is a 6-shooter. You spin, I want the information. Click. We build tension. Spin, click. Tell me the information. Spin, click. Every time that happens and that guy doesn't get his head blown off, it gets more tense and it gets darker. But also, after maybe 4 or 5 spins, we're building pace, preferably. You also start to get lulled into a false sense of security. You think, well, maybe this is just performative. Maybe he's not really going to do it. And at that moment, then you blow the guy's head off. Because now you shock the audience back into it. You built suspense, gave them a breath, and then shocked them. And now you can leave us in this devastation, which then makes the weird little blob guy crying for no apparent reason seem more valid. Because as it stands now, you went, hey, give me the information. Blam. Ooh, whoops. Brush it off. And then he's like, whoa. Like, that's objectively hilarious and also just super confusing.
Yeah.
So it's not played well. And that's every moment in this movie. Every moment. Even
this movie starts with it being like, this is a world where superheroes are real.
Mm-hmm.
3 years ago, the most powerful superhero ever showed up on the scene. 3 minutes ago, he just lost for the first time. Crypto!
Right.
Which again, Crypto himself is not the problem in that scene. Because if Crypto shows up and yoinks him back to the Fortress of Solitude, serious? It may be a little weird, but if it's like serious, he's getting dragged back. It's still going to be like, oh, dang. Get him there. The robots are like, oh, Superman's never done this before. Mm-hmm. Oh, dang. Let's get him the light. Okay. Instead, it's like, oh, Crypto. Oh, it's Gary.
Here's the thing, though. And I agree with you. Yeah. But here's a way you could even still do the whoop, 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 Crypto thing and still have it work. You don't even have to throw out that, like, Crypto's happy to see him. Crypto could show up, bang into him, start doing his Crypto thing, right? And instead of, because the comedy comes from Superman. If Superman's just unconscious and Crypto's like messing with him, and then Crypto kind of like looks at him and starts to realize like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
No pulse. He's not, he's not moving. Like all of a sudden there's weight to that. And now if you see the animal go from,
It's like
Now it
the
works.
thesis statement of this movie essentially feels like it should be, this is the day after Superman lost. Which is
Right.
cool because we're like in universe already. We have an ensemble cast, whatever. Cool.
He's a 25-year-old
Yeah.
Superman, and according to James Gunn, he's still kind of figuring it out.
Yeah.
He's in a new
Cool.
relationship.
Cool.
Interesting.
But we keep stepping on that. And I just can't. I just can't
Yeah.
like that. Like,
No.
I just can't.
It objectively doesn't work.
I don't like that. And that's like this thing that like is the struggle with me in this movie is just this overwhelming feeling of, you know what? I don't like this.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate because it is Cleveland and it's cool and it's whatever, but it's like, I just don't like it.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Imagine how much harder that opening would have hit if the only thing you changed was Superman is unconscious by the time Crypto gets there. It's suddenly way more weighty.
Yeah.
And because people at this point in human civilization will empathize over animals more than humanity, now you're sad because an animal's sad. That's
You're
like a
in.
real
Buy
quick
in.
boom, you're in. And then we can go on from there. And the same thing with like the we already went over this,
Yeah.
but the thing with the, like, all you got to do is just build that up and don't have it just be like, whoops, shot him. You know?
Literally, whoops. Well, and that's even part of this. And like, I don't know, we get kind of film bro-y here. And I think the people who are sticking around don't care. But
The two of you that are sticking
yeah,
around.
but it's like, I don't know. It's one of these things. And I was talking about this with a friend of mine. Like once you see the mechanic, we all have this thing. Once you see the mechanics of how something works, you cannot unsee it. I was talking about it with my one pastor and how when he goes on vacation, you can't help but see how they do church.
Right.
And he's like, I get it, because I think I was even talking about Superman or something else, like some other thing I had been watching, and I was kind of like starting to do the preface thing, and he's like, no, I get it, because once you see like how a thing is put together, you can't unhear it or unsee it. I have a friend who knows things about music production and will talk about the like mixing and mastering of a song that I send him, and literally, well, I don't even know if I need to hide that. That's Matt, who I did Bizarre Sunday with, and that's never something I listen for, right? And I even know a thing or two about music, and things that he knows, things he knows the mechanics of, get in the way of him being able to enjoy things. So maybe for me, it compiles too much with Superman. Both the filmmaking technique, which by the way, like I made an offhand comment to this earlier, but the fact this looks literally like a commercial, I just can't buy in to. I mean, you can have projects that look like this that aren't Superman that are fine.
I think it's a very kind of plain. I mean, you still have James Gunn's patent, like every color under the rainbow is in it, but that's only when we're in the pocket dimension. Everything else is very kind of just.
It looks like a Cialis commercial.
It does, and what it is everything looks CG even when it's not.
Yeah,
Like everything's just very clean, and just very. It has no personality.
yeah, and I just can't. And the camera moves a lot, which like gives the illusion of, well, not that's mean. There is some intent behind the camera, but it's in how it moves, not necessarily in what it looks like, which is like half of what I'd want out of what something is. So like, it's just hard. That you have the filmmaking and like story beats that don't work, and then you have the weird. You're making a comic book movie. You're making an adaptation of not just one work, but of a universe of things. It's hard. And I think you're doing parts of it very well and parts of it not very well. And like everything else in this movie, it's scene to scene, like moment to moment, scene to scene, if you're doing it well or if you're not.
Right. I mean, you've got Beck Bennett in the background of this. SNL alum Beck Bennett.
Yeah.
At the Daily Planet. Just like, ooh, constantly. I'm like, what is this character for? And why did you bring him with you when everyone was evacuating? Because you're like, how many people does the craft hold? And you're like, 5 or 6. And you're like, hey, you, and you. Why?
Yeah.
What did they literally sat in the background of that shot for the rest of the movie and did nothing.
He has one of the funniest lines, though, which it wasn't funny the first time I saw it, but it has made me laugh every single time, which is his "Why don't I have a seat?" line, which is pure James Gunn-ness. And you're going to have to trust me on this. That line doesn't work the first time. And even though you know it's coming, it made me laugh out loud the second time I saw it because it's still so cartoony, over the top, funny. It does work, just not in this movie. Also, I'll say this. We're all adults here. The fact there's a female character who her whole deal is she's like promiscuous and
Oh,
like,
Eve.
No, not Eve. Eve has a point. The girl at the Daily Planet, Kat,
Oh,
who's literally
Jugs
just
McWig?
Yeah. There, you said it for me and it's perfect. And that she's like having these boy problems.
Yeah. Useless.
Useless, pointless. It's 2025 when we made this movie.
Well, I don't think that should change anything.
There's no
anybody
point.
can enjoy a good stereotype these days.
But there's no
That's the bigger sin.
There's no point at all besides, and like it's a Superman movie.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we trying to check the box of having like boobs in this movie?
I think because maybe it's to show that like Superman could have any woman,
but
he's going with Lois, even though she's a little older than him, and she ain't got them jugs. She only got that platinum blonde wig.
Maybe
She's a good reporter.
Also, Jimmy Olsen being like a ladies' man is funny and works. Like that's a great Jimmy.
Oh, I thought you said Jibby.
Jibby
I was
Olsen.
like, did I get it wrong? Jibby Olsen?
Jibby Olsen.
Which, that's Lance. From Licorice Pizza. It's Lance.
Oh, yeah.
She brought Lance home.
Yeah, it is.
She's like, are you circumcised? Then you're Jewish. Like, that's an amazing...
You think things. I watched that scene the other day.
I love... Like, oh, and by the way, to bring up Licorice Pizza, in comparison to this movie, is like...
Yeah, no.
There's a whole other thing there.
Well, no, why are we doing that? Why are we doing this?
We're not going to do that.
Why? The movie that I titled our episode Vibes Over Cinema, I think, or something. Like, Vibes, I don't know. Actually, don't remember what I called it.
It was Vibes Over Cinema.
Yeah, Vibes is all that movie is. And this movie, Superman, has no vibes.
Yeah.
None
Whatsoever.
Not a vibe in the darn
and
thing.
just when you have, like, the suit-up moment, where it's like Lois and Mr. Terrific, and you're like, oh, we're gonna go save Superman. The slowest garage door opener, which is a fun gag, but again, it's misplaced. We don't need that here right now. We got other stuff to do. Every joke comes at the expense of pacing. Every joke comes at the expense of some emotional, weighty thing that you want to do for us, the audience. And it really rubs my bacon. It minces my veal. I don't like it. Yeah. That said, as a movie as a whole, I did have a good time.
It's not bad.
It's not boring.
I
was invested as much as I could be in a superhero movie that's not Batman. And that's not because I'm like a Batman fan. It's just like Batman is the only grounded superhero. Stuff. I want to marry Batman. I fucking love Batman.
Dude, I love Batman.
I love Batman.
Anyways.
Look at his little cape, his little tights. Oh, look at him.
I love that Batman. This is still how I feel. And I thought, because I didn't like it the first time I saw it, and then I liked it a bit more the second time, I thought that'd be like cumulative. I thought that would build.
Well, earlier today it sounded like it was cumulative. But now that we're talking about it, I think you're like, no, actually, I hate it.
Like this movie.
It's like when Zach was telling us about an ex, and he's like, and we don't know who this is, so like we don't have to cut this. Like it's not revealing.
I don't know who.
But he was like telling us about somebody he used to date years ago, like decades ago. Like in the early 2000s, he's like, yeah, she was pretty cool. And then he was talking a little more. He's like, well, she did do that. Well, she's good. And then by the end, he's like, you know what? I just hated her. Like, wow. Inside of 2 minutes, he went from, she was pretty cool to like, no, don't like this person.
I just don't like this movie. And that's where I've been at, I think, the whole time. Because there's not enough, right? The Cleveland thing is like number 3 on the list of what I like about this movie. Guy Gardner is number 1.
Jugs McWig is like number 2.
Yeah. Jimmy Olsen's worked his way up, which I did not like that the first time. But it's another thing, much like Guy Gardner's Green Lantern, that it's just consistently the same thing throughout the whole movie. And so having one thing that's actually just like, well, Jimmy, he's a ladies, like he has all these girls on him, and he just doesn't have time for it. And he's like put out by every single girl in the world thinking he's like so hot and attractive.
It's like my life.
Honestly, it's what it reminded me of. Took the words right out of my mouth. But that got Santino more than I thought it would. It's true. But I was sitting there thinking, dang, it's just like Santino. It's like taking him to the mall.
It's like taking me to the mall.
Anyways, because it's consistent. And then I couldn't tell you another thing of like lasting value that I like about this movie. Not like that, like, oh, the ending is cool with the like, show the video of your parents, but then it's actually his adopted parents.
Ow. His adopted parents.
I like that.
Yeah.
But like, that's not enough to say I think it's a competently made movie. I think it's a competently made movie.
It is.
It's
VFX look
good.
great. It's a good looking movie from a VFX perspective.
Oh my gosh, Crypto alone.
Yeah, that's a
right?
good looking dog. That's a really, hey, that's one sexy dog. Yeah, he's a good looking dog. No, that's a
Dang.
really realistic looking dog.
Yeah. It.
Also, I want to throw this out there before we get to our final ranking. One thing that I found to be incredibly stupid was, I think we already kind of said, like, 1E, like that
1A.
whole thing, or 1A, whatever the heck.
Get the great
I
line of
got
dialogue
mixed
right.
up. 1E is the kick, not the punch.
Yeah.
Anyway. See, go for the groin. Go for the. I said juggler, not the jugular, not the juggler, the jugular. Anyway, what it is toward the end, it's a big third act final battle. Yeah,
You're
and
gonna
he
say
goes
this?
down. Well, no.
Oh.
I was fine with that. I'm like, whatever.
That didn't make any sense, but whatever.
That didn't make any sense. But we had to do something. There was nowhere else to go but up. But when he's fighting himself on the field, and like we're doing the 1E, that whole thing. Or no, it's not on the field. It's later when they're like underground. And he beats him up a bit, and he looks around, and he finally notices that there have been like 5 drones or more following him with cameras on them. And he's like, "Oh, I'll bet you giving him instruction out of these drones, aren't you?"
The movie like brings that in as a plot point.
Yeah.
Right there.
And I'm like, well, duh. Yeah, this is what. How have you not noticed this? Maybe you are an idiot.
Yeah.
And then like he's like, get the toy, and then the dog's like, and like eats all the toy. And I'm like, well, that was incredibly stupid. There was that, and there were a couple moments of exposition when they first break into the Fortress of Solitude, and he's like standing there, and it's literally a talking head. All momentum stops. It's after like the big crazy battle where her hands turn into saws and she kills everybody. And then Lex Luthor just has nowhere literally left to go in space. He's standing up against the desk. And then he just kind of looks off and he starts giving us exposition. When I was thinking about Superman all those years ago, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what do we do? What?
Yeah.
Wow. Like, James Gunn can write. But there was some exposition in this movie that was just egregious. And there was some tonal problems in this movie that just...
Well, and there's like, it's like moment to moment. There's great lines of dialogue and there's bad lines of dialogue.
I can't think of a great line.
There's good lines of
I'm
dialogue.
not disagreeing.
I'll
I
walk
just
it
can't
to
think
say,
of...
well, because I don't know if I can give you an example. There's good lines of dialogue where it's like, yeah. But then there's not.
I really enjoyed the line, what the heck? It just flew out of my head. I really enjoyed when I used to be able to remember things.
Do you like that the end of this movie was basically the end of the Lego Batman movie? Where the world starts to split in two?
Yeah. Oh, that was another thing I was going to say that was really
It's
stupid.
literally just the Lego Batman movie.
It literally is. You ripped a hole in time and space. Right? There's a rift.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, well, what are we going to do about
And
this?
you can just close it.
Not only can you just close it, but there's a code. This is time and space, but there is a literal string of binary code, 1s and 0s, that get injected into the ether,
The portal?
and then it just fixes it.
Yeah.
And not only does it stop it, it actually kind of puts everything back. Like,
Just like
literally
Lego
like a Lego
Batman.
movie. And I was so annoyed with that. That was
And it
incredibly
really hit
dumb.
me this time that, like, okay, so you're telling me there's this evil megalomaniac supervillain who's so consumed by his hatred for just Superman that he's not going to close this rift in one of the world's largest cities.
Well, he doesn't care about that because he's going to get Czechoslovakia, Ukraine stand-in. He's going to get half of that and be king.
It's just, I don't know, man.
Also,
This
if
movie
you
has
hate
to do
Superman
something.
that much, and you've got a guy in your infinite pocket prison that can generate, like, Krypton or Kryptonite, whatever. It's all the same crap. It doesn't make any sense. But get him to generate a little piece, snap off a little piece, make a bullet out of that, and then just go hire somebody to shoot Superman. And then there, you killed him. Now Kryptonite went into his heart. He's dead. Now you can do whatever you want. You don't even have... Why, you went through all this and, like, cloned
I want to
him.
love Nicholas Holt's Lex Luthor.
It's a good performance. He did
good.
as much as he could do with a kind of a dumb...
Yeah, it's not his fault.
Yeah. I was amazed he was able to deliver those lines as well as he did. I was amazed he seemed somewhat villainous. I wouldn't say imposing, but somewhat villainous, because every time I've seen him, he's always just kind of playing this. Like, I was shocked in Nosferatu to find out that he was like 6'3". I'm like, the guy looks like he might be 5'10". Like
Hey, what's wrong
he
with
has
being
a
5'10"?
face that looks like a normal size,
Yeah.
moderately short guy. And instead he's like 6'3". I'm like, where the heck did that come from?
Yeah.
Because Nathan Fillion looks like he'd be 6'2", and he's not.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay.
So you liked the movie. I'd say I don't.
Well, I wouldn't go so far as to say I liked it. I would say I had a good time turning my brain off, trying not to be confused, laughing at things I shouldn't, cringing over really bad exposition. But I was never bored, and I was invested enough because basically you took a really easy route. You went, here's a perfectly good lead, here's a perfectly evil villain. He does bad things for bad reasons just so you can hate him. That formula always works. And now the good guy, it's,
Yeah.
he's got all these false accusations leveled against him. And so now you get to see the redemption arc there, and everybody was wrong about you. Oh, I'm sorry. Like, that always works. It always works. That's why revenge movies work so well. Because you give a perfectly bad villain who does a horribly despicable thing, and then you just get revenge, and that's the whole movie.
Yeah.
All the Death Wish movies work. All Antoine Fuqua's movies work. Like, they just work.
Yeah.
So this worked, and I was invested enough. I would not say I loved the movie. It was okay. As far as superhero movies that aren't Batman are concerned, it was cool. As far as James Gunn movies that aren't Slither, it was cool. Like, if all the rest of the James Gunn superhero movies are like this, I'd be like, I can deal with it. I can watch it.
Yeah. That's fair.
So, rating wise, I'd have to think about it.
That's what I'm thinking about right now. I'm going to do it. I'm going to give this movie a 5.5.
Ooh, ouch.
I don't think it's that. I don't know, guys. But I think if you look at my other ratings, I think it's worse than what I've given like 6s and 6.5s. And
I mean, tonally it's way worse. It's really, really hit or miss.
for the record, that's a worse number than I gave Malignant.
Wow. But Malignant's a blast.
But Malignant's a blast.
See, I kind of had a feeling that I would probably give this a slightly higher rating than you, only because
I've had to see it
you've had to see it 3 times. And also, things about the comics that kind of, I think, slightly
irk me.
Skew your perception of it. Me knowing nothing about Superman, I remember remarking that I think it would work better if it was retro-futuristic instead of just modern, because I hate that everybody has cell phones. So, see, for me, anything that ventures below 5.8 territory is when you start getting into boring. And this isn't boring.
5.5 is what I gave Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein.
Right. And I think I gave Frankenstein, what, a 6?
Yeah, 6.4 is what this says.
Yeah, well, that's because it was really artfully done.
It was.
This is not artfully done, this is more enjoyable than Frankenstein. And
Yeah.
I wasn't bored. So, because I think anything under 5.8 or 5.9 is usually boring territory. If I wanted to be harsh, I'd give it a 5.9. I'll give it a 6, just because I think it's a watchable movie if you turn your brain off. I really didn't like the humor, and eventually I started to just kind of ignore it. So, for the humor's sake, I would be right on board with you, like a 5.5 or even a 4, because I really don't think it works. But because I don't really think superheroes movies work in general, just because they're absurd.
You kind of gotta.
I'll grade it on a curve and just go. It's like final rating 5.9. I'll get it just below a 6 because it's not good. Wait, what did I give Guardians?
Guardians.
I feel like I gave Guardians a better
6.
score. Okay, then this is a 6.
Okay.
Because it's better than Guardians, but it's also doesn't look as good as Guardians. So
Not at all, yeah.
Yeah, I'll give it a 6. Final. 6.
Awesome. Well, that was the show.
If you like what you see, if you like what we do, you do what we see, and we'll do what you will like.
So we're going to try to go back to audio only and try to go back to weekly.
Yeah, now that the summer's over. Or basically on its way to being over.
We should be able to do that.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening. If we're totally wrong, tell us why in the comments below. If you're James Gunn, hey man, you're making blockbuster movies. Good job.
It's fine. And Slither was good, but we both know that you got your start in trauma movies. So you've come a long way.
The Guardians films did help me be interested in movies, period. So
Yeah.
I'm sure
least you
you're
get that.
a funny guy. Yeah. I have nothing. It's nothing personal.
No.
Have a good day, James.
Yeah. And Sean Gunn, who shows up for 2 seconds in this, just keep doing you, man. Just keep doing it.
So it's nothing personal. I like Corn Sweat's Superman. I think it's fine.
Is it pronounced corn sweat?
Yeah.
Really?
I don't know.
I thought it was corns went.
Whatever it is.
I don't know. Whatever it is.
I like it.
He's just.
It's
as
not
good.
your fault that I don't like it. Your
he's,
movie.
He's basically a clone of Christopher Reeve.
Yeah.
Give or take. He's like halfway between Christopher Reeve and the other one.
Cavill.
Henry Cavill.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the movie. We're gonna go get up to no good next.
I'm gonna eat some food.
Oh yeah. Well, we'll be back next week or in 2 weeks with the only problem. I wouldn't do that.
Yep, that's not gonna work.
Peace.
I can't make any guarantees that I'm not going to be slipping in and out of this half New York, half Boston accent through most of
We're
this
stuck in
podcast. I have gotten stuck in the last couple days in that voice.
One more test.
Test.
Test. It'll work. Oh! Woo, woo.